This is 231, securing e-commerce data. We're going to be looking into client-server architecture, exploring JavaScript, and trying to recognize some exploits, especially SQL, some scripting stuff. So kind of a neat lesson. It's different ways that you can get hacked. And then we talk about, I think, the solutions to it during this. The simple solution, from what I remember, was just update your things and just do things right. The websites are only vulnerable because people get lazy or they don't think about these things. So client-server architecture. So we've learned how networks kind of work. You got your internet bubble, and we got maybe like some people's computers. They connect to the internet to access your servers for your e-commerce website, right? And that's a rough idea of what it looks like. So you're going to take the role. Did you know that networks are the backbone for application websites that you use every day? You're in this activity. You're the role of a cybersecurity professional and using a training site. All right, so we have that lab. You open that right now. You're going to use a cybersecurity training site simulates a bank to learn about the software layer. Yeah, so this is kind of cool. All right, let's do this. So a lot of detail about the communication between a client and server is completely abstracted from the user. So abstracted means we kind of like hide the details of what's going on. So consider like you're browsing the internet. So this is you, and you want to go to the website Bikes, Boards, and Beyond. The client does, some customer. They go on the internet, and the internet routes that traffic to your web server right here. So it says, hey, we got a request to go check the website out. And then this web server is going to like go to, maybe you have a bunch of servers, and a different server is your database server because it's got to find the information. So there's like one public facing server, and then this is kind of another one behind the scenes. And the database is going to like pull that data, give it to the web server, sends it back over the internet to the client's PC. So that's kind of how it works. Like you're not directly connecting to certain things. Only if you remember from before, like trying to keep things secure, certain servers you don't have public access to because you don't want them, you just don't want to give people out on the internet more access to your stuff. Trying to control it as best you can. So various software options can be used in each step of the process. When they say software, it's different types of code. So websites, sometimes like your websites have like HTML. Like this basically designs the website. So if you ever go right click, go inspect element on here, you'll see a bunch of HTML. I mean, this is the kind of stuff in here if we expanded this. And that's HTML, I think, or XML. It might be a little bit of both. No, HTML here. You also have like JavaScript or Visual Basic. These are basically it's stuff that might be in here, but it's like, this isn't like real programming. Like you have to compile this and run. This is just kind of like text that's just, it can be read with a browser to design a website or lay out a website a specific way. JavaScript, you might also have, that's like programs that are actually on the website that will run. So client-side program that runs based on logic. So basically like closer to real code. Now on the server, they're going to use different types of code. The guy in the video we just watched talked about PHP, Java, Python. So those are programming languages. When you make the program, it's on your server, it does whatever. So that's on the background. And SQL or SQL. So a lot of times when you have, this is like a database programming language. We don't get too far into this, but think of it as another programming language that if you want to save data, it's like a big Excel spreadsheet. You know, putting data on there, but you know, you can do certain things, and it's just a way to organize data. SQL, SQL. Let's go SQL. I like that. All right. So is that important? Just give you some background. Majority of exploits on the internet occur through websites. Yep, because you just go on the website. Because the website's open to the public, very accessible, and there's a lot of information you have to share because that's how people get access to your stuff that you want. But sometimes you share too much. There's protection ways there's things that you can do to protect that website. We're going to explore exploits using JavaScript or SQL. So JavaScript. No, when you do this, not especially when we get into programming, maybe you want to do cybersecurity, but you hate programming. Not every cybersecurity expert is an expert programmer. Like you don't have to. Maybe they have some experience. They can look at code, but they're not sitting there programming all day. So they're not always experts in this kind of stuff. But you need to be able to kind of identify the possibilities of how things can be attacked through code. So we launched this lab, right? And we have the internet. Our login machine is this guy. And then the web server was the one in the connections tab, if you remember. I think so. Open activities folder. So we're going to go to activities 231. All right. And then right click Hello World HTML and edit with Notepad+. So that'll be this one. Edit with Notepad. All right. It's got that Chrome logo, I think because it's an HTML file. And then here's what it looks like, if you didn't open it as a website, just the HTML code. All right. Now, one neat thing when you do this, they kind of collapse certain parts, I think. Oh, they don't. Okay. So here's the whole code. Do you know HTML? Maybe not. But let's review what's going on here. So, and the code's right here too. Like you can look at it right here, or it's right in here. They give you some coloring. Did this notepad color it? Yeah, not as nicely. Yeah. So a few things. For HTML, give you a background. Whenever you have like different parts of your code, you kind of wrap them with these tags, and they're kind of connected. It's kind of like open, like in parentheses, like the open parenthesis and the close parenthesis. Works the same way. So these HTML tags right here, this says HTML, and this one has the /HTML. These kind of say, hey, everything in between is HTML. So it's like website text stuff. And now when you have this script and the close script, that means, hey, we're going to be running a program, maybe like JavaScript in between that. So this is like actual JavaScript code. And then body, this kind of stuff is stuff that you're going to see on your website. It's visual things. So like you're not going to see it say alert hello world when it's under script like that. But you'll see, if I have this body area, you'll see it say the web page display content with the dots. And stuff going on in between. There might be all sorts of other tags in here. I think P stands for paragraph. It says, hey, everything in here is one paragraph. All right. So script is just code running in the background. Body is what you're actually going to see. HTML says, hey, all of this is HTML. Kind of like the big thing you wrap everything around. So, all right. Now that we've seen that, we're going to double click it instead. What does it look like? So it opened up in Chrome. It's an HTML file. Okay, the page. Okay, notice a few things happen. So if you didn't catch that, double click again. It popped up this window that says Hello World. I hit OK. And then it says the web page display content with the dots. If you remember, so that Hello World pop-up happened because of this script. So alert is the name of like the function, we'll call it. And then I think alert just means, I'm guessing that's something that says, hey, pop up a window or pop up some kind of window in there and then display this text. That's probably what it does. And then in this body here, this said, hey, print that line on the website, which they did. So again, I hit refresh, pop up for the alert, hello world. Cool. Explain what you see when the play. So if you're answering this at home, explain what you saw right there. I think for my class, the deliverable, you just got to type this stuff in. Let's look at the code and behavior of another web page. Right click. Okay, so that was one page. Let's right click the other one and edit with Notepad. Oh, now there's a lot more stuff. Okay. So you got this like script area, but a lot more in here. Then we got our body, but then they have this form thing. What is form? I don't know. Okay, focus on the body of the web page. It contains a form called My Form. Oh, it's actually a form to fill out, like a Google form. So what is your name? And then it's looking for input. Okay. And it looks like there's probably some kind of button. I'm guessing that's what button means right there. It's going to make a button. And then it's probably going to on click equals my function. So I'm guessing. So a few things here, especially if you've done some programming, you might notice some of this, even if you don't know HTML. So a form, you know what a form is. Fill those out, Google Forms and stuff. So what is your name? I'm guessing that's the thing it asks me. And then this input thing, I think this is where like someone types in something and it says, hey, give me some input. And then there's like a button, and that on click, that's kind of like when you click it, it'll run something called my function. And the button's name will say, click me. All right. That's what I'm kind of seeing with this. Now, what's my function? The neat thing is you look up here, they actually create a function called my function. And something happens here. Okay. So, review the comment in Notepad. What's the comment? Oh, so it said, hey, review this comment. If you see this in green right here, this is comments. This means it's not actually running this. This is just kind of like what programmers will put in to tell people looking at the code what it does. So it gets the name from the text box, username, and greets the user. So it should get your name and then greet you. Okay. Okay, so what do you think what do you think would happen if you load? So when the form is rendered, it will display text box and a click me button. Username can be a type text box, which executes a script. Okay, you can go through this. So what's going to happen here? If this is too much, browse through this. My function. So what's going to happen is you type the name, you hit this click thing. It's going to say hello, and then string 2, I think it's going to be whatever name you typed. So what happens is it'll either print, if you leave it blank, it's going to say, please enter your name. But if you actually type something, it'll say, since the string 1 plus string 2, go hello, your name, and that's it. And it looks like it'll do one of those alert things again. All right, that's my guess. Going through some of that. So let's if you don't know, just kind of make a guess. It's all right. So notice here I have a what is your name? You remember that code, and then you type in something. I say click me. It says hello, whatever you typed. And then I can go my name. Hello, Brophy. Oh, okay, cool. And if I leave it blank, it says please enter your name. That's all it does. You type in a name, it'll pop up that. Kind of doing some basics right here. Okay. What are each of these languages used for? So HTML, it's just how your website's organized, what it looks like. It makes it, it organizes the tables, the columns. It changes the color of the text or whatever font or whatever you want to display it. It tells you where to put your images if you have those to the website. JavaScript is the thing that's going to add the programming stuff in the background. I guess they say logic. Make it interactive. Yeah, interactive would be a very good way to say that too. So HTML is just like the static, what it looks like. And then JavaScript's going to like make it do fancy stuff. All right. Okay, so let's talk about exploits. As someone who analyzes the security of websites, you should know about the vulnerabilities in website software. So cross-site scripting is a type of exploit in which the attacker takes advantage of an interactive website to put bad code in it. All right, so we're going to talk about, hey, I just made that right now. Can I exploit this somehow? Well, if we figure out how to do this, we can steal data. We can take over computers. We run bad stuff, right? And what the attacker will do is they'll just put their thing in like those input fields. Like whenever you give a chance for the user to type something or interact somehow, they can find some way to exploit it. It's like looking for glitches in video games, basically. Like, hey, as long as you're doing like video games work, as long as you do exactly what's intended, hopefully. But then you start trying to do some like wall hopping or whatever, and then you can find all sorts of crazy things to do. It's the same idea. So this has been around, many common websites. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Let's open the connections folder. So close all these out. Connections. And we're going to go to CTS. Double click CTS. I think this is their bank. Yeah, the banks. Okay, fake bank. It's a training site. Cybersecurity training site launches for the Bank of Virgil. Log in with admin and password. All right. Okay, because we're going to be very secure. Password. All right. Would you like to store it? Why not? Too lazy. In the menu left, click Site Security. So this is just kind of like a training thing. And then change it to low security. Okay. So this is all just training stuff. So now the website's set to low. XSS reflected. Okay. And enter the name in your text box. Okay. Brophy. And then hit submit. Hello, Brophy. Okay. What happened? It just greeted me with my name. To execute the exploit, you can enter JavaScript code. All right. So what we're going to actually do, instead of just making a normal name, we are going to enter some JavaScript code and see what happens. Type the following and click submit. So I don't like to type. Control C to copy and paste. And then what if you just did that script? Uh-oh. I made it pop up a message. So by putting that alert thing, you know, we just kind of learned what that did. You put that alert thing in there, and I was able to make it pop up a message and say whatever I want. Now try the following, click submit. Okay, now what if I did this one? Well, now I learned that I can do all this. What else can I do? Huh. I can make it go to a different website. Go to Google. Don't switch. Document. So I made this open another window on your browser and go to Google. You definitely don't want that kind of stuff to happen. So, hey, these are all bad. So we're going to go back. Site security, it says change it back to high security. Hit submit. So, you know, think about what's happening in those things. I've just changed this. So the XSS, whatever we're calling this. What are we calling this again? Cross-site scripting. Yeah. So you have an input. You're just kind of just putting JavaScript in there to run stuff. Yeah. So how do we protect ourselves? So website security professionals, you got to protect against this, right? You don't want people to be able to do this. Click view source in the bottom right corner of the XSS reflected. So go to this page again, and then go to view source. And this gives you, it's like inspect element type things, but here's the source code. I don't need to be that big. Is that it? Okay, so there's the source code of what's running right now. Expand the window and click compare under the code block to view the code for all three. So they have 3 different security levels: high, medium, and low. What's the difference? Okay. Oh, geez. It's hard to see them all. You can kind of see that. The first one's high and medium and low. So like compare like this one. This is low security versus high security. The big change I see It seems to be just here. This, I said hello, then your name. This one does hello, HTML special characters. It's doing a lot more stuff. And even in the medium one, this is doing something else. So what's the difference in here? Well, yeah, it's those lines right there. So high security. You remember that video we just played with that guy? It's using something called HTML special characters. Now, he called it something else in that video. But basically, this is going to end up being some kind of special function that says, hey, whatever people wrote in there, run this function in here to like change all those HTML like special characters to something else. So it actually reads as just text. Yeah, so it's not going to actually run that as a script. It's just going to actually just say, oh, print out script. Now, medium security, what this is doing, okay, so this is actually taking, anytime you say script, it's replacing it with blank. It's basically deleting anything that says script. Replace the script tags with an empty string. So basically erases them. And low security doesn't change anything. It says, whatever they typed in, run that. All right. So that's why the low security, like, it runs that code. It's just reading alt. It's text just as it is. So that's what's going on there. All right. I'll skip that question. So SQL injection exploits. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. So this is like databasing stuff. You ever get into database stuff? You get used to this. SQL or SQL. I'm going to do SQL. So it's basically a fancier Excel file. So we got databases. All right. So the one thing, the idea is a database is you have a bunch of databases and they have relationships to each other. So you might have, like, if you're a school, you have a database of, every student with their ID number. And then, and maybe you have one database. Okay. So that's like every student, but then you have a separate database that has like their personal information, right? They can connect it to each person's name or by student ID. Then you have another database that, like, a database table that has like your grades per class or whatever. Maybe another thing is like a discipline table. So you can have, instead of having like one big table, you can like split things off. All right. Oh, yeah, that's exactly what they say. So how can we use SQL statements or code, put some SQL code in there? So that was, instead of JavaScript, let's do something else. So how are databases organized? So the idea is that you have like numbers. Think of this as student numbers. So this might be your product numbers, and then the name of that product. The type it is might have different categories. It's a road bike or a mountain bike or a board, and then the price. Okay. What's each row represent? Another item in there. So boom, 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 just like an Excel sheet. And each column represents a different category. So, or property of the product, right? You typically, if you're doing this kind of stuff, like even like student numbers, like how do they keep track of different people? Like, especially like some people have the same name, right? Some people have the same birthday. So names aren't always unique. I mean, sometimes you have the same middle name, right? So you got to make sure every item on here is unique, but you might have different products with the same name, right? You could, why not? You definitely could have similar prices, but you also always keep something unique. And this we do like ID number. It's like if your school ID number is unique. That's really how we tie you together. I guess the email address is probably unique too. Yeah, you'd want that to be unique, but I think you got to figure out some number. It's not just your name. We got to tie you some other way. Each column represents. So manipulate the data. The 4 basic functions of data manipulation. Create something. Okay, so you can create things in the table. Oh, what is this? What are they doing? So, okay, they're kind of giving you hey, here's a really quick rundown of what SQL does. So you can insert into product, says, hey, insert this thing here. another item into your products table. So we're going to call this item 401. You can steady paddle, paddleboard, and there's the price. So what is that going to do? It inserts a new product into here, like another row. Boom. Sometimes you want to read the row, so you want to like read the information there. So maybe we want to say, hey, select what's going on here. Select number, name, unit price from products. Okay, so this is the idea of you take that original thing and say, hey, give me everything that's a road bike, that's in the road bike category or type, and then just give me I want to see their number, their name, and their price. So what should that do is say, hey, the two things that are road bikes, turn number, name, price. Number, name, price. So that's what you'll get. You can read that information. Now, you can also not just write, you can update information, right? So you can update a product. Maybe you want to say, for product 301, set the unit price to $1,000. So we take the product 301, that's $1,200, and that will set it to 1,000. Boom. You can also delete things. So we can create things, create new things. We can read existing things. We can update existing things, and we can delete existing things. So maybe it says delete item number 101. So if you did that, you delete that one. And that would just delete RDS Bike 3.0. All right, so that's the basics of what you can do with SQL. Now that you see the basics right there, what can you can use this SQL attacks to like mess with people's stuff. Like imagine if you could just like type to like delete items or update prices. You know, you go to GameStop's website, say the PlayStation 5 is available for, 5 cents. And we have 1,000 in stock. You update how many are in stock, or you delete things in stock. You just mess with them. Want to get that PlayStation 5, like, oh, sorry, out of stock. All right, so let's see what this looks like. So we're gonna go back to that connections folder. I'm gonna close this. I guess I could have left this up. We're gonna go admin password. Oops. All right, and then click site security. We're gonna change it to low. All right. Now we're going to go to SQL injection this time. So SQL injection, just not blind, just regular one. This allows users to retrieve their information. So before you could like submit your name and it just popped up. So maybe you type in your user ID, like, you're kind of like logging in and say, hey, what's my information? Right? Okay, so what's one user? And it says in here, there are currently 5 rows in the user table. Can you guess one of the users? Well, one of it's going to be admin, right? Type the number 1 and submit. So let's say user ID is 1. All right, so this pulls up one ID. ID number 1, it says your name, admin, and your address, right? I wonder if that's a legit phone number. Doesn't look legit. So it puts ID number 1, and that was an admin, right? And we're going to click the source of that. See how, so I can just type a username and get that information. That's not secure. No, it's not, but we're going to just deal with that for now. Oh, wait, did I? Okay, let's view source again. View source. So here's what the source of that looks like. All right. And, oh, what's going on here? Okay. So view the source. Code C's is the PHP code, server-side script. View the following statement embedded in the PHP code. The one that says select first. Okay, so here's the thing they want to. So there's a lot of weird things going on here. I know. This like prints it out. Let's focus here. Select the first name, last name, phone, address from users where the ID is whatever I typed in. So that's where I got. Okay, so when I type that ID, it selects the one that has the user ID of 1. And then it selects them from the database and then prints it out. That's all it's doing. Okay, so one can execute an SQL injection exploit by entering SQL code in the text box on a web page. All right. As long as the page is not protected against SQL injection exploits, the case of CTS, you will add to the existing updated. So instead of just typing 1, what if we get fancy and we type this? All right. So we're gonna type this instead. So instead of just typing 1, we're doing SQL code, right? Let's see what happens. Again, I typed 1 and I closed it off with a comma, or 1 equals 1. And then, okay, so what's it doing? So it changed the code. Instead of saying user ID and looking for 1, it has this user ID as 1 or 1 equals 1. So what does 1 equals 1 even do? Since 1 equals 1, okay, we go to back to true or false. You have no programming language. Basically, it says, hey, it's always true. So it's gonna this is gonna print everyone. Everyone whose ID is 1 or is always true. Basically, it'll print everyone on here. This is the whole list. So by doing that, understanding a little bit of how like SQL works and the code, and even like you might not know exactly how it's written, but you can kind of guess. I mean, people could have written this in different ways. And you can guess with like the common ways people could do this until you figure out one way the exploit works. So that's what's going on. Hey, I got everything. Let's try another exploit. Try another SQL exploit. This time we're going to say select from this. Okay, so I'm going to try this one. Control Shift Alt does this. It's really nice. Try this one. Oh. What did it give me? It gave me a lot more stuff. I don't get it. The union keyword merges the select statements. After returning the user ID 1, the user query returns exploited information in place of the legitimate data for first name, phone name. Okay, so it's getting... Okay, document SQL injection. So we're getting more data from here. So, it's like... Basically, we're getting this thing, and then we're getting... It looks like it's giving us access to, like... I mean, these are definitely parts that we don't want to give it access to. I don't even understand what everything is in here. But it looks like it's giving us different access to the database. That's not... It doesn't even look like it's in the same format as these users. But this might give us more information that we can use to attack it in different ways. So let's try this last one. So this one. Okay. Okay, admin. Oh. Does this get me passwords yet? No. But it gives me their address in different ways. And one more. Again, the exploited information is shown. First name, surname, phone number. So, I mean, I'm getting access to a lot of different people that obviously shouldn't be able to get to their... You don't even want to give people's usernames out, phone numbers out. Stuff you don't want. Let's change that security back to high. and go back to SQL injection pays and repeat the 3 exploit attempts. So go back here. Even if I paste that again, notice that's that last one. Doesn't work. Well, let's try this one. See if this one works. Nothing happened. If I tried this one. Okay, that was that first one. What if I just type 1? Does that work? Okay, 1 works. But all these other things like this one, that was the first one we did. It just does nothing. Doesn't give me an error message or anything. So what's going on here? And so describe what I see. So what I see is that, hey, that stuff's not working anymore. So websites protect against SQL injections by adding security measures. So let's view that source. What's going on? Just kind of like we did with the last one, and we're going to actually compare high, medium, and low. Well, I don't even want to look at medium, but okay, so what's the difference? So remember, it's like this line. So this is the high secure. I think it's that line. It's hard to see what's going on. That's low security. So, okay, it's probably not going to be in this while area. Result is MySQL query. Okay, a few things. So, actually, it's right above there. So you see how this gets your ID, saves as ID, whatever when you type something in. That's when you just type something in, and then it just straight up uses it right here. Well, in high security, it gets that ID, but then it's running this strips the slashes from ID basically, and then MySQL real escape string. So it's putting all these it's kind of like taking that but wrapping it with these other SQL functions that basically clean it up so that people can't exploit it. So it gets rid of things that would be bad. I think to the point where it just deletes everything. So let's see what it says. I don't actually know what it does in the back. Read through that. What difference do I see? Okay, that's so those strip slashes in MySQL real escape string. They strip out the slashes and escape characters, including quote marks. The medium security is only one of the functions. So medium security would, what is it? Well, actually, what does medium security do? Oh, that's low. Yeah, medium only does the my real escape string. Okay. So that's what's going on there. The idea is that, hey, if we are high security, which means we are using these other functions around our database inputs or queries, we can save ourselves some problems. Ooh, there's an optional extension. That's it, folks.